She cooks nothing but chuck wagons, stew, and her name is Minerva. Ouch! She's the flower of the devoured goats.
It all started for me in 1964. I was born with a full head of hair. I remember it like it was 57 years ago. Shortly after that, I met Shelley Showtime, and we got married, had a couple of kids. Marriage really grounded me. I studied hard and worked even harder to become a comic book artist. Then tragically, I remember losing my hair, and I started live streaming. It's funny how things turn out. I'm trying to set the record for longest intro. That was about 4 minutes worth of intro material. I think Ethan has like gone way longer than that, but you know, I'm hanging in there. Hanging in there. Do I look like a lumberjack today? That's the question. I've got my beanie on. That Wraith of God is never in the center. There we go. I got my flannel on, my white beard. I just need an axe and a blue ox, and I am ready to rock and roll. Welcome, everybody. You are watching Aaron Live. It is Sunday, the January 12th, 2025. Wow, isn't that? It's unbelievable, but it's true. That little documentary of me that I showed, it's actually off because it said, I remember like it was 57 years ago today. I made that 4 years ago. Shocking, isn't it? Shocking, I tell you. This pen has pink ink. Why? And it's the only one I can ever find. Where did it come from? And why do I keep using it? My daughter probably left it. I have no idea. Well, welcome all. Welcome one, welcome all. Big, humongous show today. Lots of topics. None of them worthwhile, worth your time, but I'm glad you're here anyway. Let's take a quick zip through the old chat and see who's joining us on this fine day. When I say a fine day, I mean it's gray and rainy here. Hopefully it's fine where you're at. Howler 6480 is here. I Stole Gary's Youth says, hi, this will be a fun episode. We always hope that it's a fun episode. Past Master Dan is here. Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick is almost always here. Pity Ma, she says, am I early? I deserve some recognition for being early today. I was a couple minutes early. Usually I'm late, and I hear from you guys in the chat, but today I was early, and I think I deserve, I don't know, something. But anyway, Paul Taylor's here. He says, he was here an hour early trying to be first one in, but he wasn't. Sorry, Paul. Paul, of course, is our resident biologist. Barbara Paulson is here. For some strange reason, she's looking forward to the show. Pantheon, greetings and salutations. Caleb Reynolds is here. Caleb is also the name of my grandson. How about that? Spaceman is here. Chris Giuliano is here. Michelle Bowers, thanks for joining us. Michelle. Andy Dalliff is here. Rock Crin, that is a name that I don't recognize. Could it be someone who we know that changed their avatar and their name? Or is it a new person? I don't know, but welcome, Rock. Jerry Rasco is here. We know Jerry. Marcus Killer Group, purveyor of all things pop culture knowledge, is joining us. Fox Mulder's joining us. Thanks, Fox. Appreciate it. J.G. Martinez is joining us. He says, welcome to another exciting episode of Aaron Live, hashtag Wraith of God 3. Thank you, GJ. Paul says, I don't care for long intros. So basically he's leaving now. I offended him. The Geek Easy is here. Flady1. Flady says that Ballers got the title down pat. Hour-long intros if you're lucky. Wow. Okay. Well, usually they're waiting for Dale. Dale's probably running late. I shouldn't say that. Dale, if you're watching, I'm just kidding. I'm sure you're never late. In fact, he's been on Graybeards a couple of times. He's been on this show at least once, and I don't recall him ever being late. So I take it back, Dale. I feel bad that I even said that. Marcus Killer, of course, remembering some good Monty Python stuff. Judge Dredd is here. Hello, all. Ethan has 30-minute intros. Don't do it, Aaron. I won't. Mike TV Dub is here. Looks more like a longshoreman. Okay. Need a red tartan shirt for a lumberjack, but that's okay. All right. Nordic Nerd is here. Spaceman says, Aaron, how's Shelley? Shelley is up and down, struggling with, unfortunately, reoccurring pain, whether that's in her shoulder, her lower back, or her neck. And so it sort of rotates. She has good days and bad days. Yesterday we were down visiting the kids and playing with the grandbaby, and she did all right, kind of wiped out today. So we're hopeful we can kind of get this whole thing figured out and get it under control, but that is kind of where we're at, is pain management with dear Shelley. So Luffy as God is here. There's GJ again. Apex Comics. Brian Suddenly Old is joining us. Thanks for joining us, Brian. Who else we got here? Catalyst's Vault. He says, hail from snowy Ohio, and Lord Hinson Comic Skater says, hey-o. All right. So that's a fine crowd we have going. And hopefully it will grow as the entertainment value increases on this show. We'll see if that actually happens. But for those of you who are here, if you're new to this this joint, as it were, let me provide you with a public service announcement if I can. Yeah, there it is. There's Frankenstein. Hit the like and subscribe. We're almost to 4,200 subs. My goal was to get to 5,000 before the end of last year. And I'm just going to continue that goal and say my goal is to get to 5,000 for the end of this year. So let's set that as a goal to get 5,000 subs. And what will that mean? It'll mean, get back to me on that. I don't know what it'll mean, but you got to set goals, right? That's kind of the whole thing. Andy says, Frazetta boobs or side boobs will keep the audience. Well, we're going to be looking at that in just a minute. Apex says, my goal is 1K subs. Well, get over to Apex Comics and subscribe to Apex Comics channel and get him up to 1K. Okay. GJ says, say hello to Mrs. Lopresti for me. I will do that. I always tell her you guys are very nice and always remember her in the chat. So hopefully we'll have her back on the show again. Alfred, get it? Alfred says, hi, Aaron. Hello, Alfred. Wow, one time, Lopez. Dale sounds like he's your best friend. Shane must be jealous. I don't think that having someone on your show multiple times, unless they want to come on, I don't. I did it for those of you who remember way back when. I had Dale on and we did a very extensive interview of his career, an overview of his career. It was really good. So, if I bring him on, it's like, do we talk about the same stuff again? Or, once was, for this show, which is either me just, being annoying for 2 hours, or sometimes I'll have a guest on and I'll interview them and we'll talk about things. That's pretty much the format of the show. Now, Graybeard Studio, which is a drawing show, Dale, I'll have him on as many times as I can get him to draw. So, JG says, I see some art over there. Yes, we will be sharing. That'll be part of the show today. Paul Taylor informing me that Rock Kryn is Cosmic Boy. If you read DC Comics, you'd know that, Aaron. If I read DC Comics is the key to that statement, Paul. If. Sean says, Aaron, what are those books on the bottom shelf over your right shoulder? So right shoulder? No, that's my right shoulder. This is my left shoulder. Well, wait a minute. You guys are seeing a reverse image. Now I'm confused. So this is my actual right shoulder. But it probably looks like my left shoulder to you, right? So are you talking about the white notebooks back there? Those are all Xerox copies or scans of all of my work, professional work. And you'll see they're over, gosh darn it. No, they're that way. Down just a bit. Oh my gosh, I'm so, have I been smoking mushrooms? Okay, so it's this one. And then I'm going to go that way. That right there, those are also notebooks full of my scanned work. And below them are price guides. Okay. So there, I just told you what everything was behind me. So the colored book on your right. My right, colored book. You got to be talking about the price guides down there on the bottom of the shelf, right? And there's paperbacks on that little thin shelf. They're all like, Doc Savage and Edgar Rice Burroughs and stuff like that. Robert E. Howard books. And then above that are collections. So if you go from my left shoulder to my right shoulder or vice versa, the very top shelf on both sides of me, those are collected works that like I got from DC or Marvel that they send me of, stuff that I either it's all me or has a story or something like that in it. Okay. Have we covered everything? Okay. They kind of look like manga. Are you kidding? Oh my God. This is not a good way to start the show. Yeah. Okay, Sean, that's for you. Leg kick for $2. Here's something for being an early. Here's something for being on early. I thought it was being early. Being on early, get a cookie. Don't entice me to get a cookie because I will get a cookie and I'll probably get two. Stealth X5 for $2. Hello, he says. Hello, Stealth. Thanks for joining us. This is like a horror film in here because the door creaks open and there's no one there. And I look down and it's my dog. It's like, what am I missing? What am I missing? Paul Taylor, I'm with you. So I've still never read manga. I know. Michelle Bowers is poor Aaron. Like, am I missing something, Michelle? Manga sells. Not to me, it doesn't. Okay. Enough of this foolishness. All right. So it's, I think the best way to get this show out of this inertia that I'm in right now and move forward would be some sugar.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
It just so happens I was once again at Trader Joe's. Now, some people are disgusted by raisins, and I don't get it. I love raisins. Now, these are dark chocolate covered raisins, which means they're healthy for you. So I might as well be eating vegetables, is the way I look at it. I can just feel the healthy nutrients from that dark chocolate. It's incredible. So you scare away Dale and hate Mongo. Who are you? I have never scared away Dale. Dale loves me. Dale will come on anytime. Yeah, I mean, I'll eat the almonds too. I love almonds too. Vegetables are what supplements are for. And that's coming from a professional biologist. He would know these things. Okay. Now I got a raisin stuck right up in there. So rather than have me dig it out on live TV, that would be gross. Let's take a look at our Frazetta image of the day. This one goes from layout to finished painting to book cover. So we have all three stages of this piece. So here we go. We're continuing to look at the Pellucidar paintings and illustrations of Frank Frazetta. So let's take a look at this one. That's another good one. At the Earth's Core, another, I gotta be honest with you, I've only read one Pellucidar book. And I know the characters like David Innes and Tanner of Pellucidar. And then, of course, Back to the Stone Age, which is my favorite Frazetta painting, which I've probably already shown, but we will look at again simply because it is part of the Pellucidar series. Those are the only Pellucidar books I've read, but I find it interesting. And in most of the ones paintings I've shown you guys, they've featured a kind of a cave girl type character. So I'm assuming that, and maybe it's an erroneous assumption, he may just, he may be just putting them on the covers to sell the book, but I kind of feel like maybe there's a main female character running through these Pellucidar books that I'm unaware of. I don't know, because he seems to be kind of featuring this dark-haired cave girl character on a lot of these covers. So maybe I should get back and read some of that Pellucidar stuff. It's been a long time. But this particular one I really like. I like the creature in the background, or the foreground. Of course, you got the girl in the midground there. And I thought it was interesting how he kind of faded out the background, but there's a bunch of monsters and creatures back there in the background that hopefully you noticed. And it's just interesting how Frazetta is so good at focusing your eye on what he wants you to look at, but then has all this other stuff going on there as a storyteller that, you know, the longer you look at the painting or the illustration, the more, you know, comes out and becomes more interesting and full of life, if you will. So anyway, there you go. Let's see. We're way behind here on my crowd reading. Let's see. I've always dug Frazetta at the Earth's core. Great drawing of the woman, says Spaceman. That's the first Pellucidar book, originally written in 1914. At the Earth's core was. So Pellucidar is not the first. It's at the Earth's core. All of these were written like in 1914, 1915, right in that area originally. Of course, Frazetta wasn't around to do the covers back then, but it's interesting. You can see the incarnations of these. Like Ace did those little tiny digest-sized books, paperbacks in the early 60s, which Frazetta did covers for. And then a lot of time, and then in many cases, they re-released those in the 70s with new Frazetta covers, which are either a remake of the one he originally did or something totally different. So it's interesting to kind of, watch those timelines on those books and those stories, and when they were originally printed, when they became popular again, when they became popular again, and this whole cycle of their popularity and how they continue to stay in the forefront of our popular culture and imaginations. Wow. Somebody should clip that. It makes me sound really intelligent. Geeky says, I got the Amalgam Omnibus in the mail the other day. The Lee variant cover, the Jim Lee variant cover for the Amalgam books. My gosh, those were in the 90s. I remember when those were rolling in the studio, when I worked in the studio called Studiosaurus, that really Gary Martin and I formed way back in the day, in the mid 90s. And Carl Kiesel was in the studio, and he was working on one of those. I think Spider Boy was the Amalgam book he was working on. So we would see those things just kind of floating in and out of the studio all the time. And it was quite the big deal there for a minute, as the kids say. Okay. And there goes the dog. Let's see. Gray Wolf's joining us. Thanks for being here. Better late than never. We haven't really done anything of any significance yet anyway. Old Dirty Fatty's here. Steve Root is currently doing a study watercolor of the Frazetta painting Ponytail. Root's an interesting dude. He just is. Apex Comics, Cave Girl meets Kid Carter. That's actually kind of funny. Actually, that's not a bad idea. She flew to a prehistoric planet, and then there was a cave girl and Kid Carter to team up to. That's actually kind of funny. Let's see here. Paul's keeping us up to date here on the Pellucidar series. I know those bat things are the evil creatures of Pellucidar that enslave the cave people. David Innes fights them and frees the people. Spoiler alert, I guess I don't have to read it now. 049 says a Frazetta painting with the warrior riding a sleigh. Yes. I think we've shown that one already. Pulled by Polar Bears is my favorite. Older brother had a poster of it growing up. Frazetta posters. You can still get them. You can still get Frazetta posters. They are available through the various Frazetta websites, as I think there's two Frazetta ownership groups, family members, kind of doing their own thing which is interesting. Yeah, Paul, Doug McClure did make a Pellucidar movie, and it was bad. I'm just verifying that for you. Rocky says they're like psychic pterodactyls. So maybe that's where. Are you saying that's where Marvel got their? Who is the flying Pteranodon man from the X-Men comics that was in when they went to the Center Earth? What was his name? But didn't he have psychic powers as well? Sauron, thank you. He had psychic powers as well, didn't he? So everybody's ripping everybody else off, it sounds like. No, it wasn't Stegron. Stegron was a dinosaur man who fought Spider-Man. I have an Art Adams original drawing of Stegron. That's my Art Adams piece. Hypnosis. Oh my gosh, there's all, yeah. Sauron was created by Neil Adams. So Neil Adams ripped off Edgar Rice Burroughs is what you're saying. Okay, I just want to make sure we're assessing blame where it should be going. All right. Where are we at? I was going to do something on this show. I know I can't remember anything right now. It's all gone. It's just been it's a blank. Oh, you know what we should do? Let's I got not memed, but last week Ethan was showing or was doing a live stream during my live streaming period. I guess he was launching something. I was completely unaware of it until I started. And then I realized I saw like 5 minutes before I went on that Ethan had this big show with lots of guests. And I went, oh, going to tank my ratings. It's like taking Star Trek and moving it from Monday nights to late Friday night when no one's home to watch it, and the ratings tank, and then it gets canceled, and the rest is history. But I learned that from watching the Center Seat 55 Years of Star Trek, which is a documentary television show, a bunch of 1 hour episodes on Prime Video. Just saying. Okay. So, but what they ended up doing, of course, is what Ethan does is they were apparently EFAP'd me while I was doing the show and made light of me, made jest of me. And because I was showing a 9.4 slabbed book at the time. And so then I got this nickname of 9.4, I guess, or something. So far be it for me just to walk away from that. Let's embrace it. And let's do this. Kind of groovy 60s tripping music. Okay, here we go. So I did get something else. Normally I do unboxing videos, but for some reason, well, before I show this, I got a little rant here, I guess, again. It's like, you know how you do New Year's resolutions, right? And you say, well, this year I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. And then when it actually becomes January 1st, you realize you don't really feel any different than you did the night before on December 31st, right? So even though you promised you were going to yourself, you'd do all these things, you're not any more particularly motivated to do them than you were the previous couple days. So I said, I'm going to stream more. I'm going to promote more. And then I sit there and go, oh, I don't want to do another stream. Oh, I don't want to edit a video. So I don't know that I've even, that it's even worth doing New Year's resolutions. But that being said, I did one resolution I always keep is to buy more comics. And so I did it again. So let's take a look and see what I got. Yeah, right here. Now, this is look at that. It's a 9.2. Strange Adventures 215, Neil Adams' Dead Man. Those of you who are really into comics might remember this classic series of Dead Man series that ran in Strange Adventures from 205 to, I think, 216 or 217. Now, I have all these. The problem is, they're like, I got them when I was a kid in an old bookstore, and they're just beat to crap. So whenever I can find a near mint copy of one of the issues, I buy it. So now I've got a beat up copy of this that I can flip through anytime I want. But now I have this nice, beautiful 9.2 of Strange Adventures 215. They say it's December issue of 1968. Off-white pages, Neil Adams story, cover, and art. You can't do any better than that. It's Neil all the time, everywhere and all the time. Look at this karate dude. You have failed to kill Dead Man Hook. The penalty for failure is death. And so now Hook's an assassin, but he's about ready to get chopped up by this old guy. No, you can't kill him. The hook is mine. Approved by the Comics Code, so we know that it's safe for family reading. The interesting thing about these comics was that Neil was doing this while Stranko was doing Nick Fury, and they were always kind of trying to like one-up each other in terms of, interesting storytelling techniques or unusual layouts and things like that. So, in fact, in one of these issues, I don't think it was this one. It might have been this one, or it might have been 216, where I think there's like these weird cloudy things in the background in one panel that says, hey, look, a Jim Stranko effect or something to that, effect that Neil Adams like spelled out in the background. So they had that kind of little competitiveness, friendly competitiveness, I guess. I don't know if they were friends or not, but those are interesting. Yeah, there it is, the Stranko effect. Yeah. Paul Taylor says, Deadman is already dead, so Hook didn't fail. Well, Hook's actually the one who killed him. He was Boston Brand, a circus performer, because back in 1967, circuses were still a thing. And so he was he wore this dead man costume and performed death-defying tricks, and he was assassinated by the Hook. The Hook. And beware the hooks. And that's a SpongeBob reference. And so apparently he couldn't kill his ghosts, so now he's in trouble. Look what's on the back. Are these models? Aurora Hobby Kits, out of this world, baby. UFO, Pan Am Space Clipper. How about that? Seaview Submarine, the robot, flying sub. That's out of Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. And Land of the Giants. They had the big snake and the little dudes there. They're all like $1.50 too. You get these great little model kits for $1.50. God, the good old days. But anyway, so this will now join my collection of graded books, of which I only have like 50 some, okay, out of 1,500 books. So it's not like I obsessively buy graded books, but I obsessively buy graded books now. Anyway, so there's that. So that's what Aaron bought now. I still haven't spent the Christmas money my mom gave me. I'm trying to find the right book. The right book. So anyway, there's that. Should we take a look at, someone had suggested to me about doing like a new feature, because I'd been doing like my favorite covers from the 40s all the way through to the 2000s. I haven't done my favorite covers of the 2000s because I don't have any. No, I haven't read that. I quit reading regularly in the early 2000s. And so I'm not really all that, aware of stuff as I was previous to that, previous decades. So I just stopped at that point. Because I think I said this last week, if I did my favorite covers from the 2000s, they would all be mine. So that's the only ones I know. Your mom still, she does, because my mom is 93, right? And she's not going to go shopping. And so she always sends me to the bank to get her a bunch of cash. And then she just puts the money in envelopes and gives it. That's how she gives presents to everybody. So I said, well, Mom, I will put this towards a good comic. And then there you go. Actually, before we move on to something else, I do want to take a moment to do a small commercial break here, if you don't mind. I do have this crazy campaign going on right now. I am inking page 10 at the moment. Might have that actually finished either late tonight or early tomorrow. So it's moving along, folks. And it is called Wraith of God 3 Fear Hollow. Why is it number 3? Because it's the third in a series of graphic novels. The first 2 are award-winning. No, they're not, but they're well thought of. So they've got good reviews, and people seem to enjoy them. And if you haven't backed this campaign, I would encourage you to do so, because one thing you can count on with me is you will get your book, and it'll be fancy. I deliver fancy product. So really, it's a 64-page graphic novel, and the story is simple yet extremely complex. The Wraith and Esther journey to Cranestown in New England to challenge a horror from the past, the Headless Horseman. The evil that menaced the Wraith 20 years earlier has returned with a vengeance, but is there more to this showdown than meets the eye? I think there is. I think there's a lot more that meets the eye. And the kind of fun thing about this is we get a little bit more of the Wraith's origin, right? So as the Wraith and Esther have a showdown with this horror that he faced as a wee lad 20 years earlier, he has to face it again. But this time he faces it as the Wraith and not a scared child. And I think the outcome might be a little bit different. We shall see, though. We shall see. You have 4 cover options. There is, of course, the cover A. It's just basic Sleepy Hollow type fare. Then we get into the EC variant. Bring back the 50s, baby. You can also get the Marvel 1972 box cover variant, which is kind of fun. And then, of course, the sensational painted cover by our good friend Chris Stevens. So you have 4 cover options here. Here's some of the colored pages by Jason Wright. I'll be sending him out actually 6 more pages this coming week to color, and we'll just continue to move along. And before you know it, it'll be done, and you'll be reading it in your easy chair. And so anyway, here's this is a pretty decent looking witch. And then we got a bad guy. Now, this bad guy we set up in Wraith of God Blood Hunters number 2. Well, it's Wraith of God number 2, Blood Hunters. And so now we're going to get more on him. Oh, there's just so much happening in this installment. You don't want to miss this. And then we have a showdown between this character in the red and gold robe called the Master, which I guess is also the name of the vampire in Salem's Lot. But, what are you going to do? And so the witch and the Master have a little bit of a showdown here to start the issue. So bang, man, we're right into it. We're right into the action because that's my MO, man. And we're still hoping that someday we'll hit 100 grand before this is over, and we can include the David Williams drawn Empirus origin story. And speaking of David, everybody pretty much knows the situation, but I would encourage everybody to, if you're a praying person, to pray for him and his family, as it's a very difficult time for David right now. You can also order the Wraith of God Nouveau print. There's only 500 of these. So once they're gone, they're gone, but they come signed and numbered. Wraith of God Roughs Volume 3. This is like layouts for the graphic novels, the page layouts. And so you get 48 pages of... Now, the book's 64 pages, but this is only 48, so I don't include every layout, but all the good ones, the best ones. The best 48 will be in here. And this becomes signed and numbered, and is very limited because I don't overprint on these. I just enough to cover any damages or anything like that. So these become pretty rare pretty quickly. Shot glasses, how about that? The nightclub shot glass. It's number 4 of a series of 6 shot glasses. So if you're collecting the entire Empire Comics shot glass line, you want to order this and not miss it. That's a pretty good logo. I designed it myself. And you can get clay poker chips featuring the much beloved Dale Keown werewolf, the much beloved Esther, and the much beloved Wraith. So those are kind of fun. And then you can also get your back issues too. If you missed out on Wraith, there's Wraith number 1 second printing that had the new cover on it. And there's actually 2 cover options there. And then, of course, Wraith of God 2 Blood Hunters with the award-winning wraparound cover. I'm pretty sure it won one of those awards. So anyway, there you go. That's what's happening. I'm a big fan of this series mainly because I'm writing and drawing it. But even if I wasn't, I would be a big fan of it. So I would encourage you to follow the link in the description of this video to go there and back this book if you haven't done so already. Like I said, it will be here before you know it. And also, if I may, make you aware of my website, which you can now order stuff from my website. And you'll find a link in the description of this video to my website. So like if you're saying, oh, I need to get that Garbage Man trade paperback. Oh, there it is. Or I miss Kit Carter soft cover. There it is. Or wait a minute. Are there any Kit Carter signed and numbered limited edition hardcovers left? Yes, there are. You can order that. You can get back here and get all the copies of the Wraith issues that you've missed with the various different covers, sketchbooks. Look at that, Saved from the Trash, classic. Prints. There's a nice little Wraith print there. The Studiosaurus portfolio features work by Terry and Rachel Dodson, Gary Martin, Matt Haley and Tom Simmons, Ron Randall, Carl Kiesel, and me. If you go up here to the store right here, this little thing, in a pull-down window, goes all products, prints, books, merchandise. So, for example, you say, I just want to see what Aaron's got for prints. Well, there it is. You can still order the movie poster, the insert movie poster for Planet Doom. We still have some of those left. Or these other various prints. Rosie the Riveteer, We Can Do It is one of my all-time faves. There's Kit Carter prints in there. There's a Garbage Man print. You say, well, Aaron, I got enough prints. Just show me the books. Okay, here's the books you can get. So these are all the different covers of the various Wraith of God issues. Of course, the two Kit Carters. Power Cubed trade paperbacks, still have some of those left. The Kit Carter sketchbook, which is really nice. If you didn't order that when you back the campaign, you say, man, I really want that. Signed and numbered. Here you go. You can get it right here. And if you're just kind of interested in saying, hey, give me an Overstreet price guide with a Lopresti cover, well, you can order either one of them here. The Three Old Witches from EC or the Phantom Lady that I did last year, I think it was. So anyway, those are all the books you can get. But wait, let's just say you're just only interested in merchandise. Well, at this moment, you can get a Wraith of God beanie. You can get a Wraith of God shot glass or a Garbage Man shot glass if you're behind on your shot glasses. I do have a couple of Kit Carters left, so I got to stick those on here, as well as baseball caps. I have a few of those left. And scragglers on the T-shirts. I have a few of those left. Those all need to get up on here and will eventually. But so anyway, you can see there's these different categories on the store. So if you're interested in any of that groovy stuff, follow the link in the description of this video. It'll take you right there, and you can order some good, fun stuff. Paul, that just hit me. It's like, I'm surprised your website isn't called Bigfoot is Fake. I should do a Bigfoot t-shirt, and I think I will, gosh darn it, and put it up there, because that crosses all boundaries of comics and nonsensical whatever. People love Bigfoot, and that's what I'm going to do. Jimmy Owens for $2. Thank you, Jimmy. Love to you, Shelley and Grandma. Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate that very much. All right. The Master was a bad TV show with Lee Van Cleef as a karate master. Really? Apparently The Master has been used multiple times. I just try to keep it simple, man. Speaking of Lee Van Cleef, you know what I watched last night? I watched Escape from New York. I was flipping around. I had a small bowl of ice cream. I thought my diet started, well, maybe tomorrow, I guess. So I had a small bowl of ice cream, and I thought, well, what am I going to watch and I was looking for some sort of, behind the scenes documentary about a movie or television show, because I kind of like that stuff. But then I saw Escape from New York came up, and I went, maybe I'll watch a few minutes of that. I watched the whole thing. Kurt Russell doing his best Clint Eastwood, and I love that movie. Love it. So, like, the three best John Carpenter films all have Kurt Russell in them. Why is that? It's very interesting, isn't it? So that would be, of course, Escape from New York, The Thing, and Big Trouble in Little China. So there you go. It's like, Carpenter is like the king of B movies, of modern B movies. And yet his B movies are so watchable. You don't sit there and go, oh, that looks like crap, or that looks cheesy. I mean, that you can tell it's low budget, but at the same time, he really gets the most out of his special effects and what he does for what he's working with. Escape from LA was an unfortunate film in a lot of ways. Very unfortunate. Old Dirty Fatty says there was a fishing show that has master in its name. Some found it offensive. Oh my gosh. I tell you, spend your life finding ways not to be offended rather than looking for reasons to be offended, and you'll be a lot happier. That's all I'm saying. I agree. That's my favorite Carpenter film, but man, do I love Big Trouble in Little China. That's probably my second. And then a close third is Escape from New York. Let's see. Chris Giuliano's got it. He goes, "You're the Duke of New York." Yeah, hey, number one. You just at the end of the movie, yeah, the Duke of New York. Yeah, number one. So, anyway. Escape from LA, though, it seems to be coming true. Indeed, it does. And I don't want to make fun of Los Angeles burning because it's going on right now. And I know it's affecting a lot of people in this has been a really rough first part of the year. Let's hope it improves. If you were on the show, The Geek Easy, I'd kick you for saying that. You've never seen The Thing. Oh my gosh. Wow. Bigfoot. Oh, we're on to something there. Bigfoot and Little China. I like it. Okay. So that's our sales portion of the show. Excuse me. But if you guys are interested in good comics, I can provide that for you. 30 plus years of experience in the industry. And it's interesting because I'm about to go on a rant again. It was difficult to get writing gigs as an artist. And there's a lot of promising projects, we'll say, that have fallen by the wayside at Marvel and DC because they wouldn't let me write it. And so I'm glad that I got the opportunity now to write and draw and show people that, yeah, I can do this. And but yeah, that Man-Thing one shot, it's too bad. It's too bad about that. I mean, I could do it as Garbage Man, but it's not really the same. A nice Captain America story. What are you going to do? I mean, Cap fighting zombie Nazis. Come on. And during World War II, that'd have been awesome. And I did get to do Metamorpho for DC, and I thank Dan DiDio for letting me do that. And I also got to do Garbage Man at DC, which was nice. I did Power Cubed at Dark Horse. Those, of course, were my characters, not theirs, except for Metamorpho, of course. And but yeah, there was almost everything I'm doing now, I pitched to somebody at some point, either at Marvel or DC. And I guess destiny played out the way it was supposed to. So Geek Easy says, "I have come here to kick butt and chew bubblegum. I'm all out of bubblegum." That's a line from something, I'm sure. GJ says, "Aaron, you have been providing amazing comics for years. I'm happy to be able to support your work now." Thank you for that. Now, I appreciate that very much. But you support my work now, but would you have supported it when I was 19? I think it's time that we found out. All right, so here's the story. So Archie Goodwin was coming to a comic shop in Portland. And I was 19, and I thought, I'm going to work up some samples, and I'm going to show Archie Goodwin at this comic shop, and he's going to hire me at 19 to go to New York and work for Marvel Comics. I was so convinced this was going to happen that I was like, man, am I ready to be on my own? Do I want to give up the opportunity to go to college? I mean, I was seriously going through all this in my mind like it was a sure thing. How could he not hire me? I'm about to show you why he didn't. Anyway, what is that? Past Master Dan says raisins are higher in iron and give you gas. Well, when you get older, everything gives you gas. But so anyway, I had recently seen The Road Warrior. And so as a good 19-year-old kid would do, I'm going to rip that concept off and kind of give it my own thing. So I came up with this thing called the Last Warrior. And it was kind of this Road Warrior character in an apocalyptic future. Where have I seen that before? But there was like zombie and mutants and stuff. It wasn't just like biker gangs. So it was next level Road Warrior. So anyway, I've dug out a few pages. So here's page number 1. The Last Warrior. There he is. And of course, I wrote it. I'm sure it was really stupidly 19-year-old pretentious silliness. That kind of looks like Wrightson, doesn't it? Those clouds look very Wrightson-y, don't they? So I didn't just pencil it. I penciled and inked it because I wanted, and I did the lettering. I was like, look how great I am, I'll tell you what his response was in a moment. Anyway, you can see that, the artwork, you can say, oh, that kid has potential, but it ain't there yet, folks. Not even close. These eyes are too big and too close together, dumb things like that. Really didn't have a grasp on doing this low angle shot like I needed to. This whole figure is just messed up. That leg doesn't look right. I don't know. The length of it isn't. I don't know. So anyway, nothing too overly complex with this. It's funny. You can see a few things. Like I'll do this. I still do this a lot. These side views like this. Little Stranko action here. I don't even think I knew why I did like split it into 3 panels right there. And so then he turns, our hero turns, and then here comes these mutants, these Wrightson-ish mutants. This is horrible. But anyway, so this is what I showed to Archie Goodwin, right? And I was so proud of myself. And I thought, oh, I'm so good. And his response to this was nothing. He didn't even for a moment did he even look impressed or interested. He's a very nice guy, but he said, I'm a writer, kid. You want to talk to other artists to get their opinions on it. And that was it. Cause I wasn't looking for a critique. I was looking to get hired. Right. And so I was just stunned, crushed really, that not only did he not hire me, he was like, he didn't even consider it. It wasn't even on his radar. This was just some punk kid showing samples that wanted some feedback. And he didn't give me any because, oh, I'm an editor. I'm not an artist. You need to go find an artist. And that was the extent. So I went home going, well, I got to change my plans a little bit. Maybe I won't be going to New York at 19. One of many, many humbling experiences in my youth that finally realized that, you know what, kid, you're not as good as you think you are. Paul Taylor for Canadian $10. Thank you, Paul. I will continue to support Aaron, even though he doesn't appreciate my high level of humor. Beard Professionals was a classic. At least Andy has taste. I don't know that I don't understand your humor. Appreciate it. I do understand it. I just don't appreciate it. That's probably true. That's probably true, Paul. But I do get it. So, Henry Jeremick, here it is. Aaron, looking forward to the top 10 covers featuring the artist Kane, Buscema, Wrights, and Starlin Burn, whenever that happens. It's starting today. I took your suggestion, and we're going to start doing that today. But we're going to start in the 40s and work our way up. So it'll be a while before we get to Buscema and Kane and guys like that, because there are some artists, not a ton, but there are some artists in the 40s and 50s that I think are worth looking at. And that's what we're going to do today. In fact, it is in fact true that he forgot my name. I don't know that the funny thing is, after that, showing of my portfolio or whatever, I don't know that I ever met Archie again. I don't think I ever talked to him or met him again. In fact, I'm almost sure that I never did. There's a dog down here. Headless Bourgeoisie. It looks better than 90% of the stuff published during the 90s black and white boom. Well, yeah, I have some pretty crappy stuff published back then, too. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, could you imagine? The little total gong show there. Bong, next. Anyway, so, obviously I learned and grew and learned and grew and learned and grew. And eventually here I am 60 and I can actually draw. It took me a while, but I got there. But Daryl Wayne, thankfully, sees the potential there. So yeah, I had, but that's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem with young artists, is the problem that I had, which was you don't have real good perspective of how good or bad your artwork is. And you always think it's way better than it is, which then becomes a detriment to learning and growing for a period of time until you can get over that. And then once you're humiliated enough, like I was, you get over it and you start to realize, oh, I've got some work to do here. And then you buckle down and you get after it. So there you go. Conversations going on in the hall. Okay, so let's do the inspired by Henry Jeremick's suggestion that inspires this new thing we're going to do. Here it is. So we're going to look at an artist from the 40s, worked mainly for Fawcett Publications. That's Captain Marvel Jr., Bullet Man, the Green Llama, things of that nature. This guy was a really, really good draftsman. In fact, I think he did some work on the Flash Gordon newspaper strip at some point. I'm almost positive he did. But we're not here to look. This isn't like the biography of Mac Raboy. We're just going to look at some of his better covers. So here we go. Not in any particular order, but I tried to kind of put them in order as of my favorites as we go. But how about that? Taking his belt and whipping Hitler with it. And Hirohito. I think that's Hirohito. The thing with Mac Raboy was an excellent draftsman. As you could see, this work would hold up during any era of comics for sure. There wasn't a ton of really good artists working in the 40s because it was comic books back in the 30s and 40s were like, that's where guys, started because they made no money and they wanted to work their way into either advertising or comic strips, newspaper strips, because that's where the money was. That was not here. So you didn't find a lot of really well polished artists initially in the golden age, but Mac Raboy was one of them, and actually he had his own studio. Eisner had a studio that fed into quality comics that was like Doll Man, Uncle Sam, The Spirit, Plastic Man, things like that. And Mac Raboy had his own studio as well. And anyway, so nice little World War II propaganda cover, kind of fun. These are expensive as all get out, folks, because of the Hitler appearance. All right, now normally this would be C.C. Beck, and that's a guy we'll look at as well, because he was exceptional. But this is actually Mac Raboy doing a little bit of a C.C. Beck riff here on Captain Marvel. But as you can see, the faces on these guys, Spy Smasher and Bullet Man, that's Raboy all the way. But again, excellent figure work. 100 pages for 15 cents. Boy, weren't those the good old days, huh? Although I'm not going to sit here and say that World War II would be the good old days. But in terms of comic reading, truly the golden age of comics. So this is America's Greatest Comics number 3. He did spell Tokyo wrong. Interesting. Headless Bourgeoisie is actually correct. He knew how to draw Captain Marvel Jr. like a kid instead of a short, muscular adult. Absolutely. Now, what he didn't do, he didn't really do big, muscular guys well. Everybody was kind of thin and skinny, but still incredibly well drawn. Now, this is kind of classic because this is Captain Marvel Jr. fighting his nemesis, Captain Nazi. And I wonder how good of a read some of these books were. Might have been pretty interesting. But again, exceptionally well drawn. I would have, I would have preferred to see Captain Nazi a little more beefier. But great faces, great figure work again, great design. Definitely one of my favorite artists, the Golden Age. And here we go with more war comics, because those are really, his prime was during the war. And here we got Captain Marvel Jr. breaking up the stone axis, I guess, of what do they call it? What is that Nazi symbol called? It's not the Iron Cross. What's it called? Is that what it's called? I don't know. But anyway, he's breaking it up here. Swatch the swastika. So there it is. So now we're going to jump over to, I mentioned the Green Llama, who's another sort of thin superhero guy, but this is kind of a classic cover. So you got the Green Llama with the G.I. Joe guy on his back, firing away his machine gun or whatever that he ripped off the plane that's going down. Classic cover, May 1945. So we're getting close to the end of the war here. The Green Llama fights for 4 freedoms. Everybody was so happy and fresh-faced when Mac Raboy drew him. I would have liked to see the Green Llama with a little bit more shadow on his face, look a little more mysterious. Well, it's kind of like, it's like the Dalai Lama, not like a llama that, like a pack animal that you'd use while climbing a mountain. It would be, that kind of a llama. But yeah, they didn't have great They didn't have great character names or designs for that matter. Look, he has little pointy things on his toes. I don't even really know what his powers were. Now, this is probably his best or maybe best known Green Llama cover. February 1945. Man, they got to really be getting close to D-Day here. I wonder if people back home had a clear sense of where the war was at and if they were winning or losing. So the Green Llama also features boy champions Rick Masters, Angus MacErk. What the heck does that mean? Lieutenant Hercules, and other features. I loved how you got your 10 cents and you got like 5 or 6 stories in there. Forward to Victory in 1945. Look at all those trains and tanks and stuff. Ugh, would I hate to draw that. All those planes. Yikes. But a really cool cover. The green alpaca was a less endearing character. No, wait a minute. Paul Taylor, a llama, that's the animal, right? The llama is like the Dalai Lama. The llama with 2 L's is the pack animal, right? All right. So now this, you want to talk about, I'd love to have this comic, but very expensive. It is indeed the first appearance of Captain Nazi. It also is there's a 2-part story. This is the first appearance of Captain Marvel Jr. And the second part of that story is in Wiz Comics number 25. So I know someone that has this. It has like a 7.0 copy of this book. That's worth probably like 30 or 40 grand. But again, look at the dual lighting, especially on Bullet Man, and it's just the figure work is just so outstanding in all of this. Some of my favorite Golden Age stuff for sure. Here's another classic war comic cover. In this issue, Captain Marvel Jr. foils Captain Nazi in his plot to doom the army. Let's see. How would you like to be like Captain Nazi and keep getting your butt kicked by a teenager? That would be pretty rough, I would think, on your ego. This is one of his classic covers, or considered so. We're getting to the best. Here's my last 2. Now this one, okay, I've got a sad collector story about this book. Why is Captain Marvel Jr. so happy, and why is Hitler so miserable? Turn to page 4 to find out the answer. Look at that, 68 pages of full color for 10 cents. This book has gone through the roof in the last 5 years. It has just exploded in value. And they're hard to find anyway. But back when I was when I sold my Spider-Man collection and my Green Lantern, Green Arrows, I took some of that. I took most of that money and paid off, like my truck or something. But then I took some of that money and wanted to reinvest it. And Ted over at Super World Comics had a copy of this in like fine condition. It wasn't graded or anything, but it was, you know, it was a raw book, but like in a 6.0. And I was like, I'm getting this. So I ordered it from his site and blah, blah, blah. And he says, oh, I just sold that a day, like literally the day before. So I was really ticked. And I have not been able to find a copy since. And when I do see them, or I shouldn't say that I've seen copies, but the ones I see, they're worth like I was like, he was asking like $400 for it or something. Okay, that same book now is $2,000, the same condition, you know, or more. So I have not been able to land this. But again, look at how well those faces are drawn. But anyway, that's a classic cover now that is very hard to find and very expensive when you do find it. That's Captain Marvel Jr. number 10. Okay, so I couldn't get that. So I went over to Metropolis Comics website, and they happen to have this. And so I bought this instead, which was another good investment. This actually was, no, it wasn't. I take it. It was raw. It was a raw 6.0. And I did get it slabbed, and it came back as 6.0. So that's pretty shocking. Or a 6, it might have been a 6.5, one of those two. But it basically, whatever Metropolis had graded it at was the grade that it came back from CGC. So, or CBCS is who I got it graded by. So anyway, that is one of my favorite Mac Rayboy covers, and it's certainly a classic Rayboy cover. And I have a copy of it. Angela Chocolates Curry is joining us. Thank you, Angela. Appreciate your participation in participation in the show. All right. So anyway, that's Mac Rayboy. Those are my top. I think that's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There it is. My top 10 Mac Rayboy covers from the Golden Age. We're also going to do, we'll do Eisner. We'll do Reed Crandall. We're also going to do, probably should do Lou Fine, even though Lou Fine, I like Lou Fine, but he was, his anatomy was wonky sometimes. But, and C.C. Beck in the 40s. And then we'll move on to the 50s, which of course will give us Frazetta, maybe some Jack Davis, some of those type of things. And then we'll go into the 60s, which of course then we'll start getting interesting with Kirby and Stranko and Buscema and Ditko maybe. The Ditko didn't really do good covers, though. He did a couple here and there, but for the most part, not great cover artist. Wally Wood, yeah, there you go. There's a lot of them. So we will visit all those greats on this journey through these artists and, my opinion, their top 10 covers. So it'll be fun. But anyway, there you go. That's Mac Rayboy starting off this this new segment on Aaron Live. So there you go. Let's see. I've shown you my artwork. I've shown you my comics. I think it's time to to get a glass of water is what it's time for. It's time for us to do this segment that I know I love, and I hope you do too. More chocolate raisins. Who in the world is Frank Godwin? I know you're asking that. I got to put those raisins out of my reach, like permanently. Who is Frank Godwin? Well, Frank Godwin was an American illustrator and comic strip artist, notable for his strip Connie and his book illustrations for Treasure Island, Kidnapped, Robinson Crusoe, Robin Hood, and King Arthur. He was also a prolific editorial and advertising illustrator. The reason I want to take a look at Frank Godwin is because he's one of those rare guys that bounced between comic strip art and full-scale commercial illustration. You know, it seems like a lot of those guys, you know, Alex Raymond did it a little bit as well, but take a look at this. This is Rusty Riley. Look at how well this is drawn. That's just ridiculous. Like, look at this face right here. Look at the figure work in all of these panels. I mean, I don't even know what Rusty Riley is, and I don't care. But because this is so well drawn, I would read it. As a kid, I would read Rusty Riley going, wow, this looks great. But again, these guys were getting paid money back in the day for this. This was not like, you know, they were crapping this stuff out. They got paid good money to do this. So anyway, Frank Godwin was born in Washington, D.C., the son of Harry Godwin, the Washington Star's city editor. How about that? And in 1905, okay, so he was born in 1889. So in 1905, which would have made him 16, he began as an apprentice on his father's paper, studying in New York at the Art Students League, which, God, again, it's like there was so many good art schools back then. And these guys, they turned out some really, really talented people. So Godwin became friends with James Montgomery Flagg, who we looked at a while ago on this segment. And the two shared a studio together. Now, Godwin was influenced by Flagg and Charles Dana Gibson. Have we done Gibson? I don't think we have. And the reflections of both of those guys can be seen in Godwin's work. This is kind of an interesting side note here. In 1952, Godwin said, "I'm a frustrated engineer." In the wood and metal shop on the ground floor of his Bucks County, Pennsylvania studio, he built a live steam working model locomotive measuring 4 feet long. He also built a 6-inch telescope with an electrical device which enabled him to follow the paths of the stars. Are you freaking kidding me? So not only was he a great artist, he was also like super smart. So anyway, there's a little bit of backstory on Godwin, but there's like 2 levels to his work that we're going to take a look at here. Here's some pen and ink, and you can see the Gibson and Flagg influence on his work here. Marcus Killigrew says, I took a class at the Art Students League, a life drawing class. Marcus Killigrew, man, you went to all the cool places and met all the cool people. He said, strip artists were superstars. Indeed, they were. But look at that. Look at that great pen and ink. But it's just not just the technique, but the drawing underneath it is so good. You know, I don't know if you're joking or not, but it's Godwin, not Goodwin. So, but that would have been an interesting question. But yeah, this is Godwin. Archie was Goodwin. So an extra O in there. So I'm guessing no relation. But look at this. This almost looks like Joseph Clement Cole or Heinrich Clay a little bit. But another great pen and ink technique here. Again, fabulous drawing, but look how loose this pen technique is in here. Really sketchy, but just wonderful. That's George Washington, obviously. Can you imagine living during a time where this was your light source in your fireplace? Working at night would have been a real pain in the butt, that's for sure. I'd had to have about 40 candles lit right around me so I could see. Now, I'm guessing this is an illustration from Puss in Boots, because you have your little cat here with his, his little musketeer boots on, and this guy with his little musketeer boots. So that'd be my guess. I can't really read the writing down there at the bottom that might tell us. I'm pretty sure that says right there that says Puss in Boots right there, but I can't verify that. But a nice little vignette, black and white, drawing. The one thing you notice about all these guys is their drawing skills are impeccable. They're not just living off of style; they're living off of substance. These guys could really, really draw, and then their style would be added on top of those drawing skills, and you'd come out with something really, really special. Look at these faces right here. This is some sort of biblical thing. I know, a story of Jesus or something that this is from. But just look at the pen work. Look at the shading on the face here. So nice. Nice hand right here. His hands are good. Although I found it interesting, he seems to be pretty consistently draws people with stubby fingers. Or I tend to draw people with really long fingers. Just, okay, now, but can the guy paint? Well, let's take a look. This is, to me, where he gets really interesting, because not only was he doing comic strips at a very high level, then pen and ink illustration that, very reminiscent of, Montgomery Flagg or Dana Gibson. And now he's doing color paintings that are sort of reminiscent of, who am I thinking of? Doggone it. Those old guys, I can't remember their names. But that's a book cover for Treasure Island. Look at this. Look at the color. Look at that red. The color in this is just wonderful. And then look at the wrinkles in this Pope or Friar or whatever he is. Look at the wrinkles in the clothes here. So stylized and so interesting looking. And look at that dramatic perspective in this piece, where you've got all your action or your focus right here, and then it runs off this way. So all your lines leading right up to the focus here of some peasant, I guess, I don't know, bringing gifts and hoping that he'll get something from the this isn't the Pope, but, some religious leader. Yeah, Wyeth, thank you. But also, what do they call the godfather of illustration, or the, I'm so disappointed in myself. But check that out. Look how nice that is. Again, look at I just love the folds in the clothes, and they're so chunky, and they feel like they have weight to them. It's driving me crazy. I gotta go check who I'm thinking of. It's that guy who does that stuff. You know him. I got a big book on his artwork if I could just find it. But I can't. Dean Cornwell. Cornwell, that's who I was thinking of as well. But all those guys had similar sort of painting techniques and styles, because they probably all learned from the same great people. I love also this kind of off-white cream color and how it's just explodes off the page there. And it's like, your focus goes right there. Yeah, it looks like there's just a little bit of line decker in there too sometimes. Look at this one. Look at the color and the this crowd scene. I'm assuming this is from Robin Hood, but I'm not 100%. Yeah, it is. It is from Robin Hood. But you got all these dudes back here, and then all the guys back here, and of course Robin Hood here in the foreground and stuff like that. But I really love the color and how he created the leaves and the trees back up in here. Just the textures and very painterly, very painterly. But this is what, every time I do this, we go back and look at these old guys, it saddens me because the opportunities for this type of illustration just don't exist anymore professionally. Commercial art is essentially dead. You still got computer generated crap that people do. Pardon me. Sorry. Computer generated art. It's not crap. Some of it is, but like anybody with that wasn't as bitter as I am would say that it's a tool and it's all how you use it, and there is that. But just this kind of old painterly stuff that everybody could do, and they would illustrate books and illustrate stories in magazines and do ad work, and it was just like all this stuff that was available to illustrators is just not there anymore, and it's sad. It saddens me. Yes, Old Dirty Fatty says, I talked to Kinsler on the phone once. Wow. Haven't I done Kinsler? I thought I had done Kinsler. Maybe I haven't. Maybe I did Mort Kunstler, not to be confused with Kinsler. I have to go back and check. I don't do a good job of keeping track of who I've covered and who I haven't covered. So then I go in there and go, have I done that guy already? Should we do him again? I'm not 100% sure if I did or not. I think I did, but I'm not 100% certain. Leg Kick says, magazines are pretty much gone now, Aaron. People now have chosen illiteracy. That's true. Sad but true, folks. Comic books, and I've said this, I've been saying this for years now, and I will continue to say it, that comic books are the last avenue for illustration. And that's why we have so many really good illustrators working in comics these days. There's not a ton of good comic book artists working because you lose the dynamics and all the things that Kirby created that made comics so great. You now have more like illustrators doing posy stuff and people standing around, and it's so beautifully drawn, but it lacks the dynamics. But the reason I believe that is the case is because you have illustrators or people that want to be illustrators, they have no place else to go. They literally have no place else to go except comic books. And then comic books are dying as we try to hang on and keep them alive here in the Comicsgate world. So, just some thoughts. They may be accurate, they may not be accurate. Stuff that goes on in my head, there's no way to really truly verify whether it has any meaning or not. But I throw it out there and we'll see if it sticks. Old Dirty Fatty says, by the way, I think Wood was a fan of Mac Raboy. Well, I can't imagine you wouldn't be. Right? Who you covered on the back of your hand. Well, Creative Faye went through all of our Graybeards episodes and made a list of everything, all of our topics, and sent it to us because we forgot what we'd done. And that's the kind of dedication I'm looking for. So I don't have to do it. Somebody else step up and do it for me. I know Paul Taylor's like, do a spreadsheet. Geek Easy, there's a lot of horrible art in comics today. Well, yeah, I mean, if we're talking about like right now, I'm talking like over the past 10 years, for example. But yeah, because Marvel and DC are cutting costs and they're not paying as well. And so you're not getting as many quality artists. But what are all those quality artists doing? Commissions, I guess. It's just a weird world of printed medium that we are living in right now. That is for certain. What? How am I a cop out? What does that even mean? Paul Taylor. I never bought the Superman versus Ali book because he thought Superman would easily win. It's not about the book, man. It's about the art. It is kind of a silly story, but it was good enough, though. Well, you do get that a lot. I mean, we do that amongst ourselves, you know. Like I'll call artists friends of mine, like, what are you using for that? Or how'd you get that line or whatever? And but it really isn't the tool, because I'm over here inking Wraith of God page, and I have used one of these like 3 of these different kinds of these Japanese pens, right? And I've used a micron, and I've actually used a brush with India ink, all on the same page. So it's all about what you do with the tools, not what tools you use, although some tools obviously are better than others. So I'd like to take a moment here, as Paul Taylor says, I spent my money on the extremely logical Plop comic instead. Plop number 1 and Plop number 5 has 2 of the best rights and stories you'll ever see. Number 1 has the frog legs story, and number 5 has this beautifully rendered, illustrated, however you want to put it, a short story about this sculptor who sculpts gargoyles for a living, right? And he's married to this just horrible, overbearing, mean wife, and he finds this. I don't know where he got this sort of elixir. He pours it over his statues and they come to life. And so he sculpts this beautiful woman. He waits for it to dry, and he's going to put the magic potion on it, and run away with her and leave his horrible wife. But as he's sleeping, his wife goes in there and sees that he carved this beautiful woman and smashes it to pieces with her hammer, and saying, "You only make money doing gargoyles. Quit wasting your time doing this." And so he, ruined his beautiful woman that he created. And so he kills his wife, but then they both fall into the clay and they become this scene, and it says Plop on it. So it's kind of like this joke story, but the artwork in it is unbelievable. So that's Plop number 5. If you want some just a fantastic rights and story, and Plop number 1, which is the classic frog leg story, and they're both cheap. So I highly recommend either of those books, Plop 1 and Plop 5, for some really great rights and stuff. Rick Johnson says, "Hey, Aaron." Hey, Rick. See what I did there? Okay. Pastmaster Dan says, "Plop was horrific. I loved it." Also had like Sergio Aragone's little cartoons that ran like in the borders and stuff. Plop was, Plop was a fun. It didn't last very long. It had really bizarre Basil Wolverton covers that I think, freaked people out. Anyway, well, we could sit here and talk comics all day, because that's pretty much what I do. But I think it's important that we also spend a little bit of time talking about Bigfoot. I kind of feel like 2025 might be the year of Bigfoot, as we're starting to see a whole new batch of videos proving the existence of Bigfoot coming out already this year. So it's our job here on the show to determine the validity of these videos and pictures. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now. Chocolate covered raisins. Okay. Don't eat on camera.
Right.
No. No. Let's take a look here. I call this photograph Bigfoot apples. Now, why would you? Why do I call it Bigfoot apples? Well, let me tell you why. Because this looks, I thought we showed this one before, but then I started looking, I was like, I don't think we did. Because this one, whoever took this photo, put a watermark on it. And I don't remember ever dealing with this water. You can see like the face of like a Bigfoot back here as a watermark, or I don't know, maybe that's his dad's face or something. I don't know. Whoever took the picture's face, I don't know. So the story goes, this guy's out camping or hiking or whatever he's doing out in the woods. He sets out a bunch of apples because everybody knows Bigfoot loves apples, and lured this character out. And he now, why he doesn't have a picture of him eating his apples, I don't know, or why it's particular this picture. I love this picture. There's the apples. So that's proof that Bigfoot actually enjoys apples. So anyway, I like this image a lot, but I'm pretty convinced this is a CGI dropped into the photo. I mean, these blurry lines you see here are the watermark image, so that's not really part of the photo. This like stuff here that you see, but I kind of like the design of the Bigfoot. You know, although his feet look a little small for a Bigfoot. I'm not very well convinced that this is actually a real photograph, but I do like it though. Of course, it begs to differ, or it begs to differ, but it begs the question: is this the only photo you got? You know, you say you set a trap with apples and all this kind of stuff, so you obviously were expecting to see a Bigfoot or to lure one in, and you did, and you only took one photo of him walking away. Now, see, that to me says I'm lying. That's what it says to me. That's a good picture of an apple, though. I do believe this apple is real, though. I swear that looks like my mom from behind. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. Captain Bitputto, I'm going to tell your mom you said that. But yeah, I mean, Paul Taylor says it blends in pretty well. Even it does look like a real photograph, but I have too many questions about it. But it is, I mean, you know, the foot lifted up, the shadow, the balance seems to be pretty good. So as far as fake photos go, this is pretty good. Or maybe it's a real photo and I'm just too much of a cynic to believe it. But I have too many questions. I want more photos. Why is there only one photo? That's suspicious. That's all I'm saying. Okay. This next video, quite frankly, you won't believe. I've named it Gilligan's Island Bigfoot. And you're about to see why. If I can remember how to share my screen properly. Okay, here we go. Watch this video and be amazed. The guy's up in a tree videoing this Bigfoot character. Okay. Kind of looks like Littlefoot. It doesn't look that big. And may be the worst shaggy Bigfoot costume I have ever seen. This could be a Sid and Marty Krofft television show. Look at that. That is just ridiculously bad. So allegedly they heard Bigfoot in the trees, and they do have some audio that came with this. And so they climbed up in the tree and took this video as he walked by. Look at that shaggy, ridiculous looking costume. It's like Cousin It or something. Let's watch again because I just can't get enough of this. And he doesn't look very big. Looks like a little guy hunched over with this raggedy, moppy outfit on. Jimmy Owens says, that is my fat cousin Doug. Wow, you guys are insulting your family members. Guy in a ghillie suit. Well, the ghillie suits, though, aren't ghillie suits like fish netting and like leaves and stuff like that? This looks more like a, fake hairy blanket thing he like put over the top of him. It's just a bad suit. This is definitely Bigfoot from Gilligan's Island. Definitely. No, Paul Taylor says, no, it's a camo. He agrees with you. It's camo. HR Puffin stuff. Exactly. Bigfoot and Witchy Poo. Oh my gosh, you guys remember all this garbage. Paul Taylor says that was a terrible show. It wasn't a great show. So anyway, there you go. That's okay. Now this person allegedly was in their tent out camping, set up their camera, and recorded this in the middle of the night. Watch close. Oh, there it is. Now, the good about this is, look at his ear right there. That's a nice little detail that might get overlooked by average fakery. Where is he? Oh, I'm sorry. We're out. Okay, here we go. So you can see his ear on the side of his head, which I think is interesting. Now, the way this Bigfoot is walking or strolling along is very human casual to me. So it makes me think person in a costume, or it could just be straight up, computer generated. You can't, you're not seeing a whole lot of anything here. And of course, if you're in a tent out in the middle of the woods and this dude is walking by, he's not even going to look at the tent. You got the tent. Look at, you have the tent door open and there's light on the inside of that tent. I'm going to assume that's a light. Maybe that's just infrared, the white, glowing or whatever. But I assume there's some light inside the tent and it doesn't draw this character's attention to look at the camera. He just walks by it like it's not even there. I don't know. Jerry Rasco says he was camping with Kelsey, who was getting up to take a leak. It's possible. Now, apparently I've heard rumors that Kelsey has made contact with Ethan. which suggests to me that perhaps he has buried the hatchet with Ethan, but still has not resurfaced in a tangible way yet. All right, now these are brand new photos released right at Christmas time or right after Christmas. So anyway, but from my understanding, Kelsey is still working diligently on Mike Barron's Nexus, coloring it. And so that doesn't mean we'll be seeing Kelsey anytime soon, but at least he has made contact. Not with me, not with Graybeards, but apparently with Ethan. So and we know that there was some difficulty between the two of those gentlemen. And so I'm encouraged that perhaps that has gone by the wayside now, and we may see Kelsey again. But anyway, as we wait for that to materialize, let's take a look at these photos of Bigfoot creeping outside this dude's cabin out in the woods. Okay, so he takes this first one right here, which is a still photo. I can't even tell what that is. Okay, this is another photo. I still can't tell what that is. Is that a nose right there? I love how they intercut with like stuff that is in focus. Okay, that we saw that. All right, slow down, man. Okay, so they're using different Bigfoot references as they're talking about these photos this guy took. Now, we've seen this one before, the Bigfoot walking in the woods. Now, this one we haven't seen. This is allegedly a dead Bigfoot that some guy had a picture of, but look at the hand above his head. If that doesn't say a fake rubber hand, I don't know what does. But anyway, so this is another one of those Bigfoot dead, carcasses that, of course, no one's ever turned over to the authorities for any scientific study or anything. They just took, apparently took them out in their backyard and have their own little Bigfoot display. So kind of questions the credibility of that stuff. Okay, so there's another shot the guy took in his window. Now this is starting to turn into a face, right? And they're comparing it to a bear here, saying why it's not a bear. And I would agree, it's not a bear. The question is it real or is it valid? It's pretty blurry, as you can see. This guy's using his iPhone apparently inside his cabin, taking a picture of this guy looking in his window. But there's better shots yet. So hang in there. Okay, there's another lousy out of focus shot. There's his eyes. That's not bad. There's some people using their phone, in case you forgot how. This is even better. You see his nose and his eyes here. These to me, don't mean anything. This is the one, folks. This is the one that everybody's glamming on. We've seen this one before too here. But here we go. Look at that. Now, this could easily be a Halloween mask stuck outside the guy's window. So it doesn't really prove anything. But it's interesting. Okay, then we get some more yada, yada, yada. And then we got this one. Now the question is this even the same face? Okay, so his nose is right here. There's his eye, and there's his mouth, right? Now let's go back and look at, is that the same? Is it just because the lighting's different that it looks, it could be, I guess. That's my favorite shot. That looks most like, your Bigfoot that you want Bigfoot to look like, I think. But they're obviously not very clear and could be a mask just sitting in the window. It could be completely fabricated in, a digital film program very easily. So this creature made all this noise outside and was peeking in his window, and he got all these photos of it, and then it disappeared. So here it looks pretty calm. Now, what I do like about this is the reflection here from the camera and there. Maybe, is he pressing his face up against the glass here? Look at the lips here and the nose. Maybe interesting. Don't know what to, but this is, now Captain Bipto says none of those look like the same creature. GJ Martinez says that could be a mask for sure, but it's still kind of creepy. Captain Victor, why are they antiqued? Good question. Of course, he's referring to the, I assume you're referring to the photos being sort of looking brownish and like old photos. But I guess, see, what are we looking at here? So this would be his neck here and his shoulders there. I do kind of like that one, though. Gives you a little bit of information, but not so much so you can figure it out. Now, these are ridiculous. That one's not bad, but that is not the same. That is definitely not the same as this. It's not the same. So, but this photo is getting quite a bit of play. This is like the big one that came out like right after Christmas. So, Old Dirty Fatty says that, by the way, all good Bigfoot pics are black and white, of course. Apex Comics is a simple explanation. There's 3 different creatures looking in the window. Good point here by Jerry says, if it isn't a mask, why not shoot a video? It's just as easy to do a photo with an iPhone as it is a video. So if it's not just a mask sitting there, why wouldn't you shoot video of this? And that is another excellent question. Many, many questions abound with these things. Now, here's something that I really find interesting, but I do think there's a logical explanation for this, but I do find it interesting. Allegedly, this guy is flying over Germany in this weird cloud cover, and he sees this. And he sees this. There it is. People standing. This isn't the ground. These are the clouds right here. And he sees these 2 giants standing on the clouds. Are they angelic beings? But wait, there's more. There's more here, and then over here, and over here. So if this is legit, which I think it probably is, I think those are just like plumes, weird plumes sticking up from this cloud base. Because if it was like cloud people or angels or something like that, I can see you'd say, okay, there's 2 of them here, but then why are there a bunch over here and over here? It's like a family day at the beach, you know? So it has to be some sort of weird cloud phenomenon that is causing that. Some people are suggesting this isn't even clouds, that this is so guys in the snow transposed onto clouds. It could be that, but don't you think this could also be some sort of weird natural effect? Like these are just little plumes right here of cloud material that are, for whatever reason, just, poofing up there. I mean, they certainly don't look like people. You know, they kind of do, but they don't, certainly doesn't. There's nothing there that make, you know, if you're looking at them from really, really far away, you go, oh, those look like people. But I mean, do they really? I mean, look at this. These are like straight up and down little poles. That's like a cloud plume. Look at that. Those are not people. Those two kind of look like it, but at the same time, those are like little, is that ET's head right there? I mean, these are little plumes. That's what I think. But certainly an interesting optical illusion, if nothing else. Henry says that's clearly guys ice fishing. The edge of the clouds do look like snow. That's what I was saying. Now, I will say this. When I lived in Florida and I was flying, I don't know if I was coming back to Portland or going from Portland to Florida, but we flew through this cloud cover. And it was really amazing because on the bottom were like pillory clouds. Okay, so we were flying through this. There was clouds down here. Then there was a cloud cover over the top. And in between them were these like huge plume things that were like columns or look like, you know, like an ice cave, stalactites or stalagmites, whatever. And it was the most amazing looking thing I'd ever seen in my life. Now, I didn't think it was, you know, some sort of alien living in the clouds, but I just thought it was weird because the clouds in Florida are way different than the clouds up here in the Northwest. They're much more billowy and thick looking, like ice cream. And it was weird. It was like we were flying through a cave. It was so cool. Clouds up here, clouds down here, and then these connecting plumes in between them. And it was one of the coolest things I ever saw. And I wish I'd taken some photos of it, but I think I was using a flip phone at the time, so it wasn't really something that I could do. Andy Dallas says Star Wars was trying to tell us Bigfoot are indeed aliens. Well, this is very true. Jerry Rasco reminds me of the images from the moon and Mars where we see shapes and shadows that aren't actually what they look like to our mind's eye. Yep. That is very true. And I think we do that to ourselves a lot. Now, this has nothing to do with anything except Jerry made me think of this. And I have said this on other live streams. I don't know if I've actually said it here, but I'm going to say it again, even if I have said it here. And in terms of the moon landing being fake, there was a guy on Rogan who said that he was, an astronomer or whatever the scientists are that study planets, what are they actually called? But he was saying that they have, because Rogan was like, because I think Rogan sort of believes the moon landing was fake. And this guy goes, no, it wasn't. And he's like, well, how do you know? And he goes, because you can take a telescope right now, look on the moon, and it's so magnified. He said, you can see the rover tracks on the moon from where they landed and drove the little rover around. And I'm like, well, that's pretty convincing evidence. Now, granted, that's what he says, but I'm sure anybody that has any sort of, decent telescope could probably do the same thing at this point. And also, an issue came up where they were saying, well, if they did it in the 60s, how come we can't replicate it now? And this guy that is an editor for one of these science magazines, that covers this stuff, basically said, he goes, in the 60s, our gross national product, or our budget, the governmental budget for the space program, I think he said was like it was either 5 or 10% of the actual overall budget of the United States was put into the space program. That was a ton of money. And he says now, he goes, we just don't have the money, or he didn't say we because he wasn't not NASA. He was like this editor of this science magazine. But he says that the money just is not there to do it. And because they don't really, the government's kind of like, well, what's the point of going back? So I thought those are two sort of basic, interesting facts that sort of point to the moon landing actually being legit and not fake. Yeah, leg kick says, for being fake, my dad worked on the Apollo moon lander. They spent a lot of money on a hoax. Exactly. And I never will get this flat earth thing. Jerry Roscoe says the clouds in the Pacific Northwest just look like gray sadness. Man, isn't that the truth? So yeah. So I don't get the flat earth idea at all. And I don't really, I was sort of leaning towards, oh, maybe they did fake it. Because you can see the reasoning behind it. It's like you're trying to beat the Soviets into space, right, to the moon. And if you can't do it, I can see why they'd be motivated to fake it so that they could still claim a victory over, in the Cold War. I mean, that's motivation enough for me to believe it. But after hearing some of these more explanations, I was kind of like, I don't think we faked it. And the other thing is, how many moon landing trips were there? There was several. And it's like, if you're going to do it and fake it, you do it once, but you don't keep faking it, because at that point, you're running the risk of really screwing up. And those of you who saw the movie Fly Me to the Moon with Scarlett Johansson and that other dude, it's okay. It's fine. But it was kind of a take on that whole thing, that they were shooting a fake moon landing just in case the one that they were doing didn't actually work out. So they had it as a backup plan. And, it's kind of a bit of a comedy, a bit of a romance, a bit of a drama. They wasn't really sure what it wanted to be, but it was okay. It was okay. So anyway, those are my thoughts, my latest thought on moon landing. Well, yeah, that's another. Was that all fake too? Is Apollo 13 fake? These guys almost died? I mean, I don't think it was. So anyway, I do want to encourage everybody that's watching right now to please hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already. It helps the channel grow, and we can march towards our 5,000 subs, at which point nothing exciting will happen, but I'll feel pretty good about myself. So please hit the like and subscribe if you have not done so. Also, please, let's just be perfectly honest. Compared to the previous Wraith of God books, this one is really underperforming. So I would encourage you, if you haven't backed this book, please consider it. Follow the link in the description of this video. It'll take you right there. You can look at the campaign and see if it's something that you might or might not be interested in. And also visit my website. I've got, if you missed Kit Carter, or if you're behind on your Wraith of God books, or the reading of your Wraith of God books, you can go to my website and you can order anything that you've missed that I still have copies of. And I generally have copies of, I don't have any first printings of Wraith of God #1 left. I mean, I do, but they're stashed. There's only a couple copies of each cover, but they're not for sale. And then, but you can get the second printing, which you see right here, of Wraith of God #1, which I did a new cover for. So all the Wraith of God books, the Kit Carter books, Power Cubed, sketchbooks, Saved from the Trash, and the Kit Carter sketchbook are still available. Price guides, if you're into that. And also a lot of fun prints. And the Kit Carter movie poster, which is a full-sized insert movie poster, 14 by 36 inches, comes rolled. Of course, all the prints come rolled, and they all come signed. And some of them come signed and numbered. So there's a lot of good stuff there on my website that you might want to check out. And you'll find a link in the description of this video as well. All righty, that's going to do it for this Sunday. I want to thank everybody for joining me. I can't do the show without you. I appreciate your participation. It's always good fun to look at art, comics, and Bigfoot videos, and whatever else we find time to do during this 2-hour time slot. So thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your evening and weekend, what little's left of it. And we will be doing Graybeards this week. And we will be doing the professionals again. We're all sort of, everything's back on schedule finally. So please join us on any one of those shows or all of those shows. Until next time, we'll see you right here on Aaron Live. Good night.